guys pulled off an absolutely massive upset here. Just setting the table a little bit, because when this happened, I've gotten so many DMs asking, what is the background story, Avery? Appeared to have come out of nowhere. Now, nobody comes out of nowhere, obviously, but to the rest of the world powerlifting scene, you just upset the returning national champion, Jonathan Garcia. Literally has broken the total world record, 2-time silver medalist at the World Championships. For you to have come in and to take this win is such a huge win, huge upset. Now you're going to the Worlds. Tons of people want to hear about your background story, but if those are my DMs, what was your yesterday like?
Remarkably overwhelming. I try to stay quiet on social media. I don't want to have a big presence there. The follower count doubled thanks to you. So.
Oh, well, I think that's got a lot to do with what you did, but I'll help.
But a lot of support, which was lovely. Not too much hostility or toxicity in any sense. It was good. It was different.
Coming into this, so we'll get into like the usual background of yourself, but what was your expectations coming into this national championship?
This is gonna sound lame as fuck, but I was fully expecting to come in, and even if I had a 9 for 9 day, still take 4th place and be happy about it.
Yeah.
That didn't happen. And I'm happy regardless.
You know what? Like, it's funny you say this is gonna sound lame, but you know, you don't know what to expect. And every now and then in sports, somebody just arrives and emerges, and it kind of appeared like it's going to be a little bit overwhelming. In terms of steps, it wasn't like you've done 3 national appearances here on the IPS side, and you got closer and closer each time, and on the 4th year you won. You came in, and it's kind of like a boom, I'm here, I'm now the champion, and I'm going to Worlds. Like, it is so sudden. Even for yourself, the process. Did you know who your competitors were?
To an extent, yeah, I did. I mean, I haven't met them in person, but I placed them on a mental pedestal way out of reach. Austin, Jonathan, Morgan, they've all been my idols for years. I've been following them and tracking their progress and learning from how they do their lifts, that kind of stuff. So,
thinking that you were going to come in 4th. And then, of course, social media presence-wise, you said you don't worry too much about social media. Did that mean you didn't feel a lot of pressure coming in? Did you feel any pressure coming in?
I did. It's a big meet. I wanted to do well. That's about as much pressure as I was feeling.
And Michael, what was your expectations?
So personally, I knew we were in for like basically a dogfight. I wanted to go 9 for 9 for the day, and I wanted to basically force a pull for the win on our own part, because his deadlift has a way of showing up like usually 10 to 15 kilos, especially with his weight cut was a lot better this time than when he did his qualifier meet in January. So I was able to develop. I was like, okay, if we're either getting 1st or 2nd, and if we can
So you totally were going all in.
I was, yeah. And I didn't tell him that. That's actually might have been probably one of the bigger differences between this and any other of the bigger meets we've done, is that I didn't tell him what I was going to do. We just walked in, talked the numbers, did it, and it felt like there was no pressure on him. It looked like he was a lot mentally like just there, better, not worried about his performance.
You know, we're going to walk through the day. So let's not. The endings it's a special kind of ending.
Yeah.
We'll put a pin in that for a sec.
Yeah.
We won't bury the ending,
Yeah.
but even it's genuine, because I talked to you afterwards and I can tell by the expression you were just soaking it in what actually happened. But all right, we'll put a pin in that. You guys had to wait for it. Squad start. How are you guys feeling in the warm-up room? First I'll ask you, Avery, then I'll get you, Michael, but how are you feeling back there in the warm-up room?
Man, the 2-hour weigh-ins suck.
You waited exactly 66.
Yeah, it was teetering to the hundredths of a pound. Finally dropped below 66, and they marked it. So made weight barely. The squats, they were moving fine. Just trying to keep my insides inside of me during
Fair.
squats. That's the hardest part.
Right.
Moving the weight's not that hard, but after a 2-hour weigh-in and a refeed that's so extreme, containing yourself physically is very tough. Tons of heartburn on the first and second squat in the hole, and then it started to go away for the third, luckily. So I was able to push myself a little bit further for that third. But
What was the vibe like? And I'll ask you about the weight cut as well. But what was the vibe like in the warm-up room? Were you paying attention to the other competitors? And when you actually saw Jonathan Garcia, who's a legend in powerlifting, in the flesh?
yeah. I assumed he was going to be like, I mean, mentally, I assumed he was going to be like 20 feet tall.
Yeah,
Just like,
yeah,
dwarfing me and this massive motherfucker.
yeah.
So, I mean, and he's, I guess, a smaller guy, but still, that image, it was cool to see him. I'd never seen him before, so it was nice.
In a lot of ways, like his legend is that 20 feet tall, right? Like his resume is impeccable. Was it at all? Was it inspiring, intimidating, or?
I quietly sat on the other side of the room, occasionally peeping up at him. That was about it.
Yeah. Well, you got a job to do, right? Michael, how about that weight cut?
I mean, so he came in a little bit heavier than he did last time, and that was kind of our goal because he lost a lot on that squat at his qualifier meet, and there's another issue at the qualifier meet where he put his singlet on backwards, and couldn't find his shelf.
that was a fashion statement.
Yeah, it was. But no, so I was like, okay, we need to be slightly heavier, and he even knew that himself. So he went through and did a typical gut cut, which he's even improvised his own way and stuff. And we just keep up to date on his body weight throughout like the last 4 to 6 weeks as we train. As long as he's down to 149, 150 before the week, 3-4 days out, we're good to go.
And your impressions of the warm-up room, seeing guys like, not only Jonathan Garcia, Austin Nikolai, Morgan was there, and all of the coaches, the legendary coaching staffs that are back there, and you going head-to-head with them in terms of the handling.
Yeah.
What were you feeling?
I was, just like kind of ready for this type of competition. I like to think that, like, the last 2 big meets we've gone 7 for 9 in them, and I was ready to like actually execute and put everything together that I had learned over the last basically 4 years of coaching him.
You couldn't miss.
No, I was like, today I was not missing.
Yeah, there's no wiggle room.
No, and I was like, we had to go 9 for 9. We had to do exactly to send a big dead if we needed to.
So squats, did they go as planned? Were those the numbers that you wanted, or did you adjust? Or
We opened up too light on accident, just for the
I wrote the
slight
number
math
wrong
error,
down.
but it's not a big deal.
It probably helped at the end of the day.
you know what? yeah, you never know. Maybe it did.
Yeah.
Saved some energy on the first squat. Jumped up to 562, right?
Yeah.
Second, moved fine. 584, a smart call. Could have done more, but I'll take it. It got me in the position where I needed to be to set a good bench and send that third deadlift.
Yeah, 100%. Sometimes you dig a little too deep in the squat, it will impact your deadlifts. There's a lot
I've
of
done
lift.
that before.
Yeah, we've had that the last 2 meets where he's hit the 600 on a monolift. We've attempted the all-time world record of 617 at the American Pro, and he hit 600, but he grinded it out at Ghost, and then his deadlift coincidentally, went down.
It'll suffer.
And then same thing, basically failing 617, still a grind because he almost had it. It's just, and then it also affected his deadlift too. So we've never actually been able to clear a squat that easy, and then come in for deadlifts this fresh.
And
that was the goal, basically, is to go 584 or 590. And I was like, all right, if we really want to send the dead, I was like, we'll go 584. He's going to move it fast. It'll be good.
This is what happens when you accumulate experience. You start adjusting, right?
We're getting better every time, yeah.
Yeah.
A little bit better. You got to learn from these moments. That's good, gentlemen.
Yeah.
Were you guys paying attention to what the rest of the field was doing when squats rolled around? Obviously, Jonathan is a monster squatter. Were you paying attention yourself?
I was watching him, but I let
Actually,
him
I
do
did
the
see you
numbers.
come around the corner, peeking out, looking at the platform sometimes.
I was observing.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
It's fun to watch.
Yeah. Like, does it make you more nervous? Does it make you more comfortable?
Neutral. I mean, I enjoy watching it, so it doesn't bother me much.
It's first off, you're unique. This whole story is very unique. But for you to pull yourself back and be like, I like to watch, so I'm observing as an observer, and it doesn't neither excite me nor intimidate me. But I'm here. It's the national championships. Why can't I take it in as well?
Well put.
Yeah, I mean it's interesting because some people they fire themselves up by watching. Some people are like, I don't want to see nothing. I want to put the blinders on and just focus on me because it can pull them out of the game.
The numbers scare me, but watching somebody lift heavy ass weight, that's inspiring.
Right.
So
How about
do that all day.
How about yourself, Michael? You must have been paying attention because you have to play the game.
Yeah. I had after openers were in, I was already doing every single math thing I could figure out to figure out every single path and where we would need to go. I had subtotals calculated. That was just
like Doctor Strange when they're about to fight Thanos.
Yeah.
And all right, if they do this, we do that. If they do, you go. I got a million scenarios. I worked it all out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
I had I'd even known what Jonathan's max dead was too and everything, and I was like, okay, so if we want to push this, I said this is what we're gonna have to pull to win, and I was like, all right, let's do it.
Actually, you know what? I was going to ask you, did it play out like that? But put a pin. Let's not bury it again.
Yeah. Sorry.
Get ahead of myself. I'm getting excited myself. Okay, bench rolls around. Jonathan, phenomenal bencher as well. I mean, the guy's a phenomenal powerlifter, but back-to-back national records. His bench is on point. How did your bench session feel to you?
Warm-ups felt great. I was grinning after the final warm-up, knowing that it was going to be a good day. 336 was an excellent call for the second. 347 to match a gym PR and set a meet PR was exactly what it needed to be. 353 would have been nice, but next time maybe.
At this point, do you feel like you're relatively in the pocket with kilos to spare?
I would say so. We got maybe about 2.5 to 7.5 to spare.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this, to your point again, sort of what you wanted. You'd rather cut it a stitch shy than tip a little over and start grinding too much.
Right.
And yeah, sorry, go ahead.
At that point, missing a lift is huge, so you don't want to risk that.
And sorry, keep going.
We were almost banking on Morgan or Jonathan missing a lift. And obviously he didn't. So that added to it. Made it extra hard.
It's funny because you're right. First off, usually somebody's going to miss. And at this point, through bench, nobody's missing.
Right. Top
you're
5,
like,
no one missed.
Yeah. So it's like, what are we doing here? Nobody's blinking. Did that, Michael, maybe that played a part on your attempt selection, did it, in terms of, to Avery's point, if someone had missed, and we gained a bit of a foothold, all right, maybe that'll impact if you're more aggressive, more conservative to retain your lead. But when nobody's missing, they're all world class. Were you telling yourself, to Avery's point, if we can't miss, stay in the pocket, they're not missing?
Yeah, we got to aim small, miss small,
Right.
And I've learned that through just attempt selection with him constantly. We always, after bench, second to third is usually always a 5 kilo jump. We've learned 7.5 can be the fight, based on how it usually goes. And even, that's why I think 347 was probably the best call. It moved just a little slow. At 352 would have been a fight, would have been nice to have, but that's how, I always think of the little 2.5 is, nice to have, but at the end of the day, if we hit the total, we hit the total.
Right. And it becomes, if 2.5 kilos less is 75% chance, 2.5 kilos more is 50-50. You got to be careful with those 50-50s.
Right.
You got to be careful. It's only 2.5 kilos. Going into deadlifts. Now this is where, if Jonathan has any weakness, it'll be deadlifts. He's got a fair deadlift. There's no question about it.
Yeah.
And he looks super strong until he's not, because it's grit. His strength is, I don't got to tell you guys, you've done your homework.
Yeah.
His strength is through the roof. It's the grit. Small hands, the bar comes out of his hands. When you're watching this, how are you feeling? First off, warming up for deadlifts. Are you where you think you want to be, or do you know even where you want to be? Are you paying attention to the scoreboard?
No, not at all.
He was like, I'm still in fourth.
That's his job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
By that point, I was in second place. I had no idea.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I had no idea.
Yeah, he found out today he was second place the whole meet until the last pool.
Literally, my man. And was the vibe in the room back there? Did you notice as the meet's progressing on the live stream, when you watch it back, you'll notice initially we're not sure where you're going to end up. No one really knows exactly how it's going to unfold, but we know who the big names are. As it's unfolding, you are clearly becoming more and more of a contender. Very interesting story where someone can come in like you, question marks around 24-hour weigh-in, deadlift bar. How is this going to impact? And then as it unfolds, oh my gosh, like this is getting realer and realer. By the time deadlift rolls around, the tone of the commentary, if you watch it back, will be like, oh, like this, we're getting closer and closer to a possible massive upset here. So it's interesting you didn't know, and maybe that's to the benefit. Michael, did you know, holy smokes, nobody's missing, but we're now neck and neck. Were you telling yourself, we're in position now to maybe pull for the win?
Yeah, that was the whole goal, especially finishing 10 kilos under squat. Him hitting 600 was great. Avery hitting 584. I was like, we are right where we needed to be. And then going into bench, I was like, all right. It's like if he goes for 190, I was like, that's gonna be the big fight. I was like, but they went for 185.5, and I was like, all right. I was like, we have that extra 5 to go on deadlift now if we need it.
Did you anticipate, so you've done your homework, you anticipated maybe 190 being loaded by Jonathan?
I did.
And you guys are ready for it?
That's why I was doing the math the whole time, and we were almost ready. If we needed to go 300 keys on dead, we would have.
Yeah. And that's where, like, whenever a lifter goes, I should have moved this number up 5 kilos, your opposition can also say, yeah, cool. We would have moved up 5 kilos.
Right.
Everybody moves together, right?
Right, yeah.
Right. Deadlifts rolls around. Yourself, Michael, the position you're in, you got legendary coaches back there like Matt Gary, Joey Flex, all the rest of them, you know, Jason Tremblay from the Strength Guys. Like this, it's a Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I was like, oh, there's everyone I've ever heard of in powerlifting back here,
It's a
basically.
little overweight. Yeah, exactly. It's a who's who. By the time Deads rolls around, did you feel like the attention was now shifting to you guys, and all of a sudden they're looking over at your platform? All of a sudden they're looking over at you. Did you feel that?
A little bit, yeah, for sure. I was pacing back and forth because I was getting excited, just getting ready for like that third attempt, basically.
Right.
So I was like, it's coming down to it.
You know, it's funny. It's almost like you had a secret to tell everybody, but they wouldn't know until the last day.
Yeah, Eric Wilberg was telling me to like really be quiet. He was like, hey, you need to relax. I was like, I'm just excited, you know.
Were you feeding off that energy? Could you tell
No.
Michael was?
He's more emotional. He's the emotional guy.
Yeah.
Stay pretty calm.
Could you, in the back though, tell like what is going on, Michael? We're in fourth. Why are you so hyped up? Was there any indication of that?
The energy was there. I could tell he was excited.
Yeah.
And I rebounded, and I was excited for him. But it didn't affect me a whole lot.
No, you're calm, cool, collected. All right. So deadlifts are unfolding. Neither one of you are missing. Jonathan puts up 718, which, just for perspective, 707.5 at the World Championships, won the Worlds. All three of the lifters who were the best 66s in the world all hit 707.5, and only body weight changed, broke the tie for them. Now, body weight was not going to help you on the day. So it is what it is. As it were, you didn't need to break a tie on body weight, but that would not be an option for you.
Mm-hmm.
But did you watch last year's Worlds?
I did.
Okay, amazing, huh? Like that. First off, that was
Three
crazy. That was literally one of the best sessions I've ever seen, ever
Sick.
commentated on in my life, and I've been doing it for like 10 years now. So, did you realize at that point, were you looking at your own number, even if not comparing your number to everyone else? Did you realize you were already tipping over what won Worlds?
I kind of knew I was close, but not that close.
You weren't like doing the math. This is where my total's at right now. Okay. I mean, sometimes a lot of people do.
I mean, I was doing that.
probably doing
Yeah. And,
Of course, you
yeah,
were. Yeah.
Yeah. So, no, I would like, and that's even at the American Pro, if we had ended up with a 9 for 9 or even an 8 for 9 day, we would have been close to that total as well. And I was like, okay, so, and we had in mind that we were going to a PA qualifier and stuff. So I was like, all right, so if we're there, we're kind of close now. Like,
It's world class.
Right.
It's world class if you
Right.
put it all together.
Right.
So on a day that Jonathan is having literally the meat of his life, this is the biggest performance in terms of total he's ever put forth. So you had your workout cut out for you. When the third and final deadlift gets loaded, now I can tell you, in the commentary booth, and everybody online is like, holy shit, this might happen. And I mean, the reigning national champion might get unseated. Everybody was already talking about how Jonathan would fare at Worlds, like the hyper focus on Jonathan. A massive upset was about to happen if you could nail that deadlift. And did you have any idea what you were pulling for?
I had no idea.
You thought it was 633 or 639,
Yeah.
or 633. Yeah, 630. Yeah.
And where was your hype level? Because you celebrated. You were extremely happy as a commentator watching it. I thought you knew you won because you were so happy about what you had just accomplished. And I'll get to in a sec when I doubled back and saw you backstage when you actually found out what you accomplished. But what did you think you achieved, at least initially, when you hit that on the platform?
Well, second attempt was 6:17,
Yeah.
so I knew it was more than that. That's it.
Really?
Yeah, it was probably going to be a PR of some sort, but I didn't know it was going to win me the meet or
I've,
put me where I am now. So
I've learned with him, it's best not to tell him the third dead.
Well, you got the most out of him.
Right.
You know, you knew what you were doing.
Well, we did this once at USPA Drug Test Nationals in 2022, where I did all the math to come in against the deadlift specialist to make sure we were going to win, and I was 20 kilos ahead of him going into deadlift, so we had to force him to pull for the win too.
Yeah. Well, listen, some lifters, if you tell them you need this, if you get this, you win, it does something to them.
Right.
Other lifters, you're like, no, they don't need to know. They're already going to be hyped. He was clearly already hyped.
Right.
He celebrated like he had won. I thought he won.
Right.
I thought he knew he won. So he didn't need that extra pressure. He was already there, and you knowing your lifter, that helped huge.
Yeah.
But you knew. What were you feeling when he walked out there?
I was like, holy shit, this is it.
You're like, if this works, we're going to Germany, baby.
Yeah.
All of powerlifting's going to be talking about this.
Yeah. And that's when you see my reaction as my hands started to go over my head. I was like, holy shit, he's got it. I was like, it's coming.
It was such a genuine moment. Did you notice other lifters paying attention to your final pull?
my
No,
blinders on.
it's
No.
good. That's good. How about yourself, Michael?
Yeah. As like everyone's watching, I was like, all right, I can feel it kind of.
It was probably interesting. Avery's like, man, everybody stop what they're doing and is paying attention to my final pull. Is that just the respect I'm getting? That's very nice of them. But no, I'm sure from the Matt Garys of the world to the Joey Flexes of the world to the Jason Tremblays, everyone was leaning in like, holy shit, what's happening right now? So you nail it. You get your third deadlift, 9 for 9, 720. You're celebrating. Do you know you have 720?
No.
You just know I went 9 for 9 and had a good day.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Now, Michael's losing his mind. When you meet him, are you like, what are you thinking?
You about tackled me as soon as I finished the lift.
Yeah.
What's your question? Sorry.
I'm like, when you met Michael and he's losing his mind, essentially, when did you find out what you actually achieved, total-wise, who you beat, and you're going to Worlds?
It was one of the top set media guys asked me some interview question, and I was half blacked out at the time. He's like, how do you feel about winning? I'm like, huh?
What a genuine moment. I got to watch that interview, by the way.
He was asking all these questions. I said like 2 words, and they weren't English. And he's like, yeah. It's blowing it on that little mini interview after the fact. But that's when I found out I won, and that was cool. Trying not to cry, just the emotions. It was cool.
I mean, first off,
I still don't believe it. It makes no sense.
it's to have a moment like that caught on camera. You know, the moment that you found out you won, caught on camera in an interview. Like seriously, that's like sports history right there, huh? It's like sports folklore. I gotta watch that freaking interview. You're like, excuse me, pardon me, what did you say? He's like, you won. I'm sorry, one more time. What?
It's like when he was asking about how heavy the last dead was after that interview, and he's like, I did what?
Yeah, I mean, so you win the national title. You're going to the World Championships. You're processing that live in the middle of a freaking interview. Yeah, I'd be lost for words too. That's a little overwhelming. And when I went to the back warm-up room and I saw you, and I'm like, holy shit, dude. And you definitely were getting a little more emotional at that point. I think it started sinking in a little bit. But what were you thinking when you actually started realizing, holy shit, I won the national title, I beat legends, I'm going to represent my country at the World Championships.
That has not set in yet either. I couldn't comprehend it, can't process it, still can't. But it's just raw emotion. I know it's important, can't put it into words or thoughts.
When it's unexpected like this, and it gets dropped on you, it's a lot. It hasn't even been it hasn't been a day yet.
Yep.
And already, does it feel like your world has completely changed all of a sudden?
You could tell him your analogy you told me today if you want to.
What was that?
The Hunger Games one.
Oh, sort of, kind of. No, that was a little goofy. That pink fluffy chick is, how was that? I can't even phrase it.
It was basically when Katniss gets chosen, and then she's like championed around. He was like, I feel like this right now. He's like, I have no idea what's going on. He was like,
Yeah.
Well, probably, wouldn't it?
The blinded by stardom or whatever.
yeah. He's just like he's not not used to it, so it's just like it's just being a process.
I don't handle attention very well. Not at all.
And you have an entire community across the world hyper focused on you right now. It's got to feel weird. How many followers did you have coming into this competition?
About 500.
And do you know how many followers you'll probably have when the World Championships is all over? Like, it's going to be crazy for you to be under 1,000.
Yeah.
Dude, what do people back home, friends, family, were they watching the live stream?
Yeah. The support's been awesome.
Yeah.
So many people hit me up saying good job. It feels good.
And amongst your friends and family, did they fully grasp what you achieved? Or first off, did they tell you, like, you can win, you're going to do this, that, the other? Were they aware of your chances of winning this?
No.
So,
My friends and family, they don't really follow the sport. I barely follow the sport. I mean, I know it exists,
I know,
but
it's so-
I pay attention to it, but I still don't, grasp it. So we were all kind of in the dark, but now we know.
And now that you've achieved this, and now you're the national champion in the U.S. no less, probably the toughest nation to win a national championship, and you're going to the World Championships. What are they saying now back home, the friends and family?
Let's see. Had a couple FaceTimes this morning of some old college buddies talking and saying good job, catching up. Just a pure congratulations all around.
Yeah. And did you have any particular reach outs that kind of surprised you?
Joe?
Shell, did he reach out to you? What did he say?
He said, let's see, I put it on my story, I think.
And did you watch Sheffield?
I did.
Okay.
Yeah, he's insane. He said, congrats, man. Would be cool to compete against you at Worlds. I said, thank you, sir. I'm looking forward to it.
I mean, he's a stand-up guy, obviously a legend in the game. It's funny. All right.
He's going to shit on me. He's a freak, dude.
He's a,
God.
but look, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. But that's hilarious. But it's funny because afterwards I was talking to you, asking about this podcast. You're like, absolutely. You're like, sorry, what's your name? And I was like, I checked.
That's what I mean.
I checked, and you follow me. You
Okay.
follow King of the Lips. I'm like,
Yeah.
but I understand.
doesn't?
You're like you said. Obviously, you watch World, so you hear my voice, etc. But you're not like there's something refreshing, unique, and about somebody who's come into this. Like, look, I'm new to this. I haven't been to a nationals. I haven't been to the World. I haven't met people on the face to face. You're still gathering it and processing it. And this is a very unique story.
It's all very. I didn't know who Joey Flex was.
That's crazy.
I didn't know what he looked like. I heard the name before.
Right.
So he was talking to me after the fact. That was cool.
Yeah.
And telling me about the weight of what I just did, helping explain it to me. That was nice. And the other coaches, I didn't, I don't recognize them when I see them. So it is weird, but cool.
Yeah, I mean, look, in terms of a life experience, this is the wildest. How old are you?
27? 27.
I mean, my man, you got a lot more years left in you. Shell is
I hope so.
35, I believe. So, I mean, you could be around for quite some time. And this year's going to be nothing like last year. You're 2025 already, but it's going to be nothing like your 2024.
Oh, yeah.
What are your thoughts on that? What are your thoughts on, because there's, you came into this competition and everybody's looking at some of the heavy hitters that are already in the federation, have already gone to the world championships and accomplished so much. And you got to operate in the dark, but at some point what was done in the dark is going to come to light. And everyone's going to see how good you are and see your potential. Now it's happened. Everyone all over the world now in the powerlifting community is talking about what just happened. Now when you show up at Worlds, it won't be the same. Everyone will know who you are. When you come back to Nationals the following year, it won't be the same. People were gunning, you guys are gunning for Jonathan Garcia, people will be gunning for you. Is that going to be weird for you? Is it?
Yeah. So I've always followed my idols, which are, the top at the time. So that is going to be very foreign, yes.
How do you anticipate you'll react to them?
Same thing that I did yesterday, is just try and do my best and keep their goals and numbers out of my head as much as I can.
And to a large extent, Michael, that's kind of where you come in.
Yeah.
You can handle all that.
Yeah, I block out the noise for him, just tell him what to do.
Right.
Blissful ignorance can be a tool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Especially you being back there, and you'll know who Joey Flex is, but you haven't seen him in person. You don't know what he looks like. You'll have, like for instance, you follow King of the Lifts, you watch Sheffield, whatnot. But when you saw me in person, you didn't necessarily know who I was in person. This will stop you from feeling overwhelmed. Some people might come and be like, holy smokes, all the people that I watch at Worlds or I hear about, etc. You show up live. That is stimulation to get to stitch. If you're a little nervous, you become a lot nervous. And a competition can be 3 hours. If you're a lot nervous for 3 hours, fatigue comes a lot quicker. You get overwhelmed. You get pulled out of the pocket. To your point about blissful ignorance, you might be aware of some people around, but you don't understand just how close they are to you and what's happening. And now, what's going on around you. So it'll help. On the flip side, you're full well aware now.
Yep. But it's easy to forget that the people that I'm competing with are actual humans, and they're not just some arbitrary stepping stone of getting better at the sport. If that makes any sense.
It does to an extent. I mean, this stepping stone itself, in and of itself, this is obviously national title's huge, but then this qualifies you for something bigger. And these people you met here and faced off with here will prep you by the time you get to World. So when you go to the World Championships, while that in its own right will feel, different feelings of overwhelmingness or whatever, at least you face off with Jonathan Garcia. He's a 2-time world silver medalist. He broke the world total record. So at the very least, you have that in your back pocket. You've already faced off with legendary coaches. You've had this all around you. So at least when you go there, no, I belong. I face it. It's a little bit more of the same. I know you did almost like you crashed into the position where you're in, but this was pivotal for you when you go to Worlds. How pivotal do you think this experience is?
Insanely.
Yeah.
It's had to go this way or I'm not going to Worlds.
Right.
Had to go how it did.
Do you wish you had stepped up piece by piece a little? Do you think,
It's a fun way to go about it. I think we had fun. The little tour to Federation that we did, and now we're here.
How about yourself, Michael? What are your thoughts on all that?
I mean, yeah, honestly, it was fun kind of just doing the tour to Federation and then jumping into here because most of my team or most of my clients had already just competed USPA and most of them were drug tested. And then Avery came along and like basically started 2020, started 2021, yeah. And then we're like, oh, let's just sign up and do a USPA meet, see how it goes, and go from there. And then I do have this crazy story, by the way, which kind of speaks about
Let's
who
hear
this
it.
man is. So Avery is a 67.5 lifter at this meet, and he's in Flight C. I have people in Flight A. There's a breakfast restaurant right next to this place. So I'm gonna go get breakfast at Flight B. Avery's gonna warm up it. At least I think so. Breakfast is running late. I'm like, all right, whatever. I'll grab it after. I get over there. He's up in 5 or 7 minutes. He has not gotten under a bar yet.
My first meet ever, so it's a
Okay, you know, I like the context he gives giving me some
Right.
slack.
Well, yeah, no. So I mean, that's just like whenever he would get under a bar, you would usually go up close to your max or whatever you're planning to hit for the day. You didn't really like warm up.
Yeah.
You would stretch. He would do bodyweight stretch, and then get under the bar.
Smokes.
So
Intriguing.
we're open at 4:35. And
Yeah.
we were like, all right, cool. I've come over. He has not gone to the bar. I'm like, all right, let's put 135 on the bar, do it 1 rep, and then he's up.
Oh my gosh.
And then he smoked it.
Wow. Well, I mean, it's succumbing at or not succumbing. It's facing adversity, and you've been in some rough circumstances and overcome.
Yeah, and that's just one of those noob moments where
Yeah.
you're new to the sport, you don't know what's going on. 4 years ago, I didn't know that powerlifting existed as a sport.
Right.
And then there was a gym manager that introduced me to Michael 4 years ago, and that's what got the ball rolling. So I was, prior to that, for half my life, just going to the gym, training, squat and bench, not deadlift, and then just trying to get physically as big as possible, and then found powerlifting,
Yeah.
going way back.
He came in and did my, I do a charity lifting meet every year. And so came in and he was weighing like 66 kilo. And he was opening at 300 on bench and basically a 485 on deadlift. And I was like, who the hell is this?
Yeah. Wow. So, previous to all this, when you were growing up, etc., like, when did you start weighting?
That would have been high school. Shout out to Coach Matthew Groon from Lakeview Academy. He was the strength and conditioning coach for the football team that got me into benching and squatting.
You played
I stuck
football.
with it I didn't play, but I was on the team. I was like 3 feet tall, man, in high school.
Fair enough. And that was your, you know what, a lot of people have segued from football, actually. Like today, competing, Delaney, Wallace, Taylor, Atwood, there's been quite a few. Because you guys have to lift tons of weights, big, strong. It's a nice segue anyways. And at that point, you weren't even aware that powerlifting was a sport or an avenue, but were you particularly strong?
Yeah, I think so. I think squat was always my favorite. I sucked at bench, but that grew over time. Let's see. And then come college, there was like a little mini SBD to find out who the strongest student was, and I ended up winning that. And then that helped guide me towards the avenue of powerlifting a little bit more as well. So.
Did you, at this point in your career, and like you hadn't taken up powerlifting, but you were lifting, did you have ambitions of like someday I'll be a national champion, someday I'll be?
Not at all. No, I had no idea that was an option in the slightest. I went to the gym because it was an addiction. It still is. It feels good to hurt myself.
Well, I mean, there's something to be said for, I get powerlifting and weightlifting in general is monotonous, but there is something for exerting, stress, anxiety, energy period. And just feeling that, getting it out, feeling a little bit sore, there's a sense of accomplishments from it. Period.
Mm-hmm. So it was strictly personal, just personal benefit for years. I guess you could say it still is. Powerlifting in nature is a bit of a selfish sport. I mean, until it's not, until you find ways to make it, build a community out of it, help folks, help inspire people. Yeah.
Do you think, when you first found powerlifting, at that point, did you have ambitions? I could do something with this sport, or was it still at that point? I'm gonna have some fun. We'll see where this goes.
Strictly fun. Yeah,
Really?
let's see what happens. Yeah. I was no intention for this to happen at all.
I don't
Maybe
think
for him it was.
I don't think you had intentions until like yesterday when you found out.
I'll speak on this a little bit. No, he squatted high bar religiously, never squatted low bar too when he came to me. And I was like, doing the math, and I was like, okay, we have a meet in April. I said we could qualify for USPA drug tested nationals. And I was like looking at the squat world record. I was like, this is within firing range. I was like, all right, let's train for it. We'll hit the drug tested world record. We did it. And that became kind of everything we wanted to push for was the next squat world record. And like just in the IPL, and then all of a sudden it became, all right, we want the heaviest, which is why we went for, we hit 600 at Ghost, and then we went for the all-time world record at the Pro. And then, yeah.
Well, so this is my next. You're progressing outside the IPF. Why did you decide to enter into the IPF bracket?
It's where the most competition was. That's, I guess, when we started to plan for the future was where am I going to have the most competition and the most opportunity to grow within the sport.
Yeah.
So here we are.
And when did you start following the IPF, watching the World Championships, Sheffield, etc.?
Let's see. There wasn't much of a presence for Powerlifting America in South Carolina for a while, and then it finally started to take hold. So as soon as that was an option, we took it in January of this year.
And is that really when you started kind of paying attention?
Yeah.
So January, well, 2024 is when you were watching, right?
Yeah.
Because you saw Sheffield and etc. You saw last World Champ. Wow, so yeah, you were relevant. So you didn't know too much about it, the who's who, etc. in the IPF. How about yourself, Mike?
I had a kind of, a decent bit of it. I've been around powerlifting for about 8 years now at this point. But that I'd always seen like the old YouTube videos and stuff. So I always have been getting more familiar with who was who nowadays and everything and all the content being posted out. But yeah, I was like always trying to learn stuff as a coach. That's also part of where I was like starting to learn more and more about what everything in the IPF was and stuff like that. So.
And when you got Avery, were you telling yourself, "Oh shit, I think I got one"?
As soon as we hit the squat world record and the USPA, I was like, okay, I think we might have something on our hands here that might be bigger than myself, and definitely like someone who's gonna do this.
And you, when he decided to go IPF, were you thinking yourself, "Yeah, we can make a run for this"?
Yeah. And that's where I was like, even looking when we did our totals at Ghost and at the Pro, like even still 24-hour weight, monolift, squat bar, deadlift bar, etc. Our totals were on a 7 for 9 day right near 1570, within 15 kilos. And I was like, the conditions can't be that different, especially when he already does a weight cut to make it. It's just only the refeed is the biggest thing that would be the crazy differential there. And it's like, okay, if he can adapt to that and we can see how strong we are under the 2-hour weigh in, I'm like, we got a shot at doing all this.
And now that you're going to the World Championships, what are your expectations for the World Championships?
Man, kind of the same thing. I just want to do as best as I can do. Hopefully not get pooped on too much.
9 for 9.
That'd be nice.
That seems the goal.
Yeah. That's rare. I haven't done that in years. So I'll take it.
What would you like to accomplish in your powerlifting career? Because, look, yeah, Shell's around, but he is 10 years older than you. And not everyone's going to stay in the same placements. How would you like to career down for?
When I'm shooting for him, I want to be like him now. So he's the next guy, I guess. Respectfully. That is the goal.
Are there other people out there in power, whether it's 66s or just at IPF Worlds in general, that you'd be excited to meet, face off with?
Pon has inspired me a lot. He's kind of on a similar level as Jonathan, as far as being legends. Let's see. A couple others. I'm not too good with the names.
I don't, and dude, this is so refreshing to meet somebody who's like, I'm new to this, I'm just checking it out. And honestly, it's probably a gift to a large extent, like you said, with the ignorance bliss. Let you go in there, it'll all sort itself out. You'll end up knowing who everybody is, and everyone will end up knowing who you are. It might be a stitch even weird for you when you show up and you don't know who they are, and they know who you are because they see what you did.
We'll see. They seem like good folks. I'm not worried.
Nah, it'll be good. Everyone's super duper friendly, and it is literally a life experience. Like when you go to the World Championships, however it goes, like to your point, Michael, just go 9 for 9. When you got USA across your chest, and the world's watching, all your friends and family back home are watching you on a national team at the World Championships. Whatever happens, like this is a unique. Less than 1% of the world are ever going to experience this. It's a life experience. Everything's a bonus after that. 100%.
I'll probably be in Germany for at least a week after, so I want to be feeling good for that week. So
Right.
as if I have a good performance, then I'll be feeling good. That's the goal.
Also, you're going to want to, ahead of time, get used to the travel, time zone change, and your recomp. If making weight is difficult, which it is, it's difficult when you do it domestically within the U.S. Doing all that while traveling, when you fly, losing water when you go to 30,000 feet altitude, and then you come back down, difficult, getting all your recomp stuff, etc. So you want to go in advance if possible.
That's gonna suck.
Planning 5 days in advance right now.
Sorry, how many?
Planning 5 days in advance.
Oh,
but-
I thought you said 25.
No.
Jesus wept. That might be aggressive. You be a citizen.
I'm just gonna go immigrate, you know.
Yeah. No, yeah. A good advancement because have you done much travel?
Yeah, I competed in Australia in 2022.
Oh, that's aggressive
That
travel.
sucked. 36 hours to get there, but well worth it.
Yeah.
California twice.
We went to Niagara Falls
In Niagara Falls. Yeah.
and in Miami, I guess. But, you know, like, yeah.
But yeah, like the Australia one is really the biggest prepper. If you can handle Australia and went through that, nothing will be as bad as Australia.
Learned a lot from that one. So,
Yeah, fair enough.
So I think you got there, what, 3 or 4 days before the meet? And I was like, that's not
Oh
enough
my
time.
gosh.
it wasn't.
Yeah, you got a crash course in what a time zone change can do to you. When your body, Australia is 12 hours, so 8 o'clock in the morning is 8 o'clock at night.
Right.
So your body might be like, no, we're just waking up. It's like, no, you got to get ready for bed. Like, how is this going to work? It's, it's difficult.
I had a shit meet that time.
I was trying to handle him while I was falling asleep on the couch. So I was like, this is not the live stream. This is not working.
You guys have, you learn on the job, but you have learned.
Right.
So by the time you get to Worlds, all this experience will accumulate for you. How do you see yourself, because it is a difficult weight cut, staying 6'6" for the duration of your career? Do you think eventually you move up?
Just depends. If it's doable, then yeah, I'll stay. If there's reason for me to go up, then I will. It'd be nice. I like eating what I want to,
It's fun.
but I can see myself here for at least another year or so, or two.
And how long do you picture yourself staying in the game?
There's no telling. I am incapable of thinking that far ahead, so I couldn't tell you.
It's a tough question, especially seeing how just winning is overwhelming. You didn't even know you won. You're still processing winning, and now you're being asked about to lay out your entire career path.
Yeah.
Yeah, why don't you know?
But the funny thing is, even though it's a funny question, some people actually, once they start getting under the barbell, they're like, I'm going to be a champion one day. And they later, after like 2 or 3 meets, already have their career in mind. As funny as that is, so yourself saying, like, I stepped in, never told myself I was going to be a world champ. I came here telling myself, if I get fourth, that's great. As a matter of fact, I thought I got fourth and I was on top of the world. This is relatively different. And, but yeah, I get that.
So long that I can just keep improving, then I'll stay with the sport.
Fair enough. And so you own a gym, you help manage the gym. Winning these titles, these accolades, and all the experiences here on out is only going to help things like that. And doors will open up for you.
Yeah. Yeah, see what happens with the
Sponsorships, coaching. A lot of doors open up. You never know. This is like day one of an entirely new life. So
Oh, man. Terrible.
This is us telling it.
it is what it is. Well, listen, I appreciate you coming on the live podcast. You were saying, look, I'm going to be a little bit outside of my comfort zone. My dude, you did great. My advice, be yourself. You're 100%. You're totally fine. Your story's amazing. You're a good guy. You're strong as hell. You got a lot of talent. Be yourself. You're going to be out.
I'll continue to do that. Thank you.
Thanks for coming on, Michael.
Of
You as well.
Thank you.
Good luck in Germany, gentlemen.
you.
We'll see you there.
See you then.
Thanks.
Perfect, fellas. Well, it's not so bad. You really do, honestly.